$16,000 winner,
Hollywood star
Sam Schmidt.
Big bucks, no whammies.
If you could describe this sit-down,
hangout
that we just had in one word, what would it be?
Mentally painful, yes.
Little louder?
Yeah.
Mentally painful.
Also
fine.
accurate. Yep.
Fine.
And now for Dinner with Racers, presented by
Continental Tire.
with your hosts, Ryan Eversley and Sean Heckman.
Placeholder radio sound. I'm a driver. I'm very angry. This is the sound of a driver on the radio during a race.
What do you think I should order?
And welcome to Dinner with Racers. I am Sean Heckman.
I'm Ryan Eversley.
And you are listening to us somewhere between Kentucky and Tennessee because we are coming back from Indianapolis, Indiana, where we spent 7 days to get you, the audience, 10 free meals for you to actually say nice things about.
Yeah,
on
it's
Twitter.
been really positive so
Yeah.
far. Great response. And this episode is Sam Schmidt.
Now, Sam is currently a staple of the Verizon IndyCar series. He comes from a racing family, kind of came up as a driver through the kind of traditional ladder, Formula 2000, and eventually actually became a driver in the IRL during sort of the early years of the series, including winning a race in his hometown of Las Vegas in 1999. And then it was all cut tragically short in 2000 when Sam would suffer a massive spinal cord injury while testing at Walt Disney World Speedway, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down and effectively making him a quadriplegic. Now, his story does not end there, and this is where Sam is very much a hero for a lot of people. It didn't take long after Sam's driving career ended that he went into team ownership, went out and built the most successful Indy Lights team in history, including having 14 drivers that went through his program in the Indy 500 last year. And all of that eventually led to him now running what's known as Schmidt Peterson Motorsport, which is a full-time team in the Verizon IndyCar series with currently drivers James Hinchcliffe and Robert Wickens.
So Sam doesn't know us at all, but he was nice enough to give us a lot of time on the Sunday after the IndyCar Grand Prix, where we met at his motorhome inside the Speedway, where I believe it was 295 degrees inside.
Yeah, I believe to be exact it was 298.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 298, where we were dying in there, and I still question if that wasn't a move to get, us journalist types out of there as quickly as possible. But we had a great time and couldn't have been more excited to talk to Sam.
But despite our heat exhaustion, you're going to learn several things, including
What are we going to learn, Sean?
bitch and sideburns,
You're going to learn about whammies,
the greatest Halloween costume of all time.
how he's a terrible road trip passenger,
Ryan and I are going to learn about the biggest Little League dad,
who his favorite actor is.
and just a lot of great conversation under the delirium of oven-like temperatures.
Now, you're going to hear a voice in the background several times throughout the episode, and that would be Sam's personal assistant, Myra, who's been with him since the accident, and she is awesome. She had a lot of little insight for us, as well as some funny stories, and her reaction often told us that we had done a good job with our research by showing us fist pumps and things like that. So really nice treat to be able to talk with her, as well as Sam, of course, and we really enjoyed this episode. We were blown away, actually, by how fun this was.
Now, of course, none of this would be possible without a fantastic vehicle driving us from Atlanta into Indy and back. And Ryan, what car would that be?
This is the Acura.
Correct. It is an Acura.
Right.
What kind of Acura is it?
It's an Acura MDX.
It is
MDX.
it is an Acura MDX.
I'm getting it.
And it is, of course, reassuring to know we have the best tires.
The best tires.
The best tires we could possibly ask for, keeping us safe, hugging the road, giving us great gas mileage.
Sure, all that stuff. Continental tires.
Right, but better.
Continental tires.
Louder.
Continental tires.
As fast as a leopard.
Continental tire.
Close.
Continental.
One more.
Continental tire.
Awesome. Sam Schmidt.
Sam Schmidt.
Sam Schmidt.
Sam Schmidt.
Rise of my tires.
All right, we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
So this is bus life at Indianapolis.
Yeah, so this is your
This is
home.
away from home.
Yeah.
So when did you leave Vegas?
Last Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's by the time it goes through Detroit, it's right at about a month.
Right, right. So you're here through the GP, through all the practice and testing, during the media tour and all that. You stay here, 500, and then do you stay in the coach or do you take the van that's outside up to Detroit?
Drive the van and somebody else drives the coach, sets it up, and I got a board meeting down in Nashville Wednesday after the 500. Back up. So I drive the van to Nashville, do an overnighter there, then back to Detroit. So
when's the next time you'll be? So today is May 13th.
Yep.
When will you be back in Vegas?
June 4th for 3 days. Then to
Good
Texas.
Good time.
Right. Yeah, home for a minute. Yeah.
Almost. The next stretch is almost like a NASCAR program.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because basically, I mean, IndyCar, once summertime hits, that's it. Like, once you leave for Indy, it's Detroit, and then it's just back to back to back to back. And living in LA, I've always said, like, if I decided that my business was full-time motorsport, I probably wouldn't be in Los Angeles because there's just no sense in doing all those
No, I like it because I don't live back here full time, and that was a conscious decision a while back. But I do love seeing the guys and being in it because what I have to do to find the money and everything else is not what I like to do.
Right.
I like strategy. I like being with the drivers. I like the engineering. I like all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, don't get enough time to do that.
Right.
So
Being
back here, I can do that every morning. Go to the engineering meeting. Spend all day in the garage. Make the calls I got to make, but sort of be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's Sunday the 13th, the day after the Indy Grand Prix. What would you be doing right now if we weren't here?
I'd probably be catching up on the last 3 days of emails and making a plan because really tomorrow it's just flat out nonstop through the 500. We had, I think as of yesterday, 450 people on race day that were entertaining.
Between just with Aero guests and
Lucas Oil.
I don't have an exact number of partners, but everybody brings somebody to this race. And Aero's 100, and then go from there. And so you can walk across the garage here and see our structure going up in turn one. We negotiated with Speedway to put our 2-story hospitality inside turn one for the 500. So
is that why all those trucks are out there right now? We saw a bunch of Aero trucks out there right now. Oh, wow,
cool. So that's for like the Aero compound.
Tractor trailer rigs, kind of F1 style.
You're not messing around.
Yeah.
11 races this year. So
that's cool.
Would have liked to have it for the Grand Prix, but there's no way to get there for the Grand Prix. So
they need the
they'll
space.
Start now. They'll take 3 days to put up, and
now is that an Aero thing? Is that a Sam Schmidt thing?
We are managing it for them.
Okay. So it all comes. So they basically, this is probably not proper, but they basically write the check, so to speak, and you guys do the whole process.
Yeah, I mean it's it's shared in the sense that for every weekend it goes up, we have an allocated number of spots for other partners. And they have about 2/3 of it. So it's a partnership. Actually doing it through SSG down in Charlotte. And so they built the structure, they truck it, they set it up, and they tear it down. But on the weekend, we manage it, we staff it, we do the food.
That all comes through your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Very cool.
So
not just race cars. It's not just race cars.
Well, and that's the unfortunate reality with it's nothing against IndyCar. It's just the fact is the access, the activation, everything goes on behind the scenes is what really pays the bills.
So to put that in context, you're not running a race team, you're running sort of an experiential entertainment business.
Absolutely. It just IndyCar is a small component of that. We got the Corvette, and now that's fully integrated. All their customers are driving my Corvette on race weekend off-site, separate deal. We set up an autocross cone situation and
to drive it with your setup, so to speak, so they know what that's like.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay, and we'll talk about that today.
We can get into it right now.
Yeah.
So you've been a long-time Honda-powered race team.
Yep.
And you have a Corvette car. Yep. How do we get you in an NSX? Who do I have to talk to?
Vicky Pony. I haven't met the new guy. It's really, I'm going to be blunt, it's idiotic in the sense that, back in 2014, when the SAM project, and to be clear, that's not named after me. Aero came up with a concept, and I had never even heard of Aero.
Okay.
Yeah.
But $25 billion technology company in Denver. Feel stupid for not hearing of it, but but they called me and said, you want to drive again, and I literally, it was a text. I wrote back and said, am I being punked?
Right.
And they said no. I said, okay, how much is it going to cost me?
Right.
check us out on the web. We can handle it. We have 600 engineers. This is what we do.
Right.
We're a general contractor technology. And so I did. And it turns out, engineers like acronyms. So in the brainstorming session of them coming up with the idea that we want to design a car for, generically somebody who cannot use their arms and legs can drive, we named it semi-autonomous mobility.
Okay. Yeah.
And like 3 weeks later, they're talking to a doctor at Craig Hospital in Denver. Like, do you have any candidates to do this? And he's like, yeah, I got the guy.
And his name's Sam.
Yeah. Right. And I can tell you, in the last 4 years, there's been 100 of those stories where it just was the perfect storm, you know. And I was driving, 6 months later, and that was phenomenal itself. But the reason it wound up being a Corvette was simply because we sat down at my dinner table in August 2013. They wanted to drive in May of 2014 at the Speedway.
Yeah.
And the only car that was allowed to drive is a Corvette.
There you go.
It's a Chevy.
Yeah.
It's a Chevy. Yes, I was a Honda driver. That was my natural inclination. We got to get in a Honda.
Yeah.
But also the NSX wasn't released then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the whole goal was, let's just drive.
Let's get in a car.
Yeah.
And it had to be 100 miles an hour. That was the goal.
Because that was your condition, right?
Yeah.
That was my condition.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to... because it was a lot of work. We had, like anything else, we had structured weekly engineering meetings. We designed this thing from scratch. What's unique about Aero and what they do is they use existing proven technology off the shelf. Like our infrared cameras in the car have been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
But they use that type of technology and reconfigure it in a way that it had not been used before. Mm-hmm. And that's why we were able to get it done in such a short amount of time. But it took 2 trips to Dayton, Ohio to get in the simulator. It took in January. It froze my butt off, and came out here in April and drove at 40 in pouring rain. It was a lot of work in a short amount of time, and I wasn't going to do it to go 20 or 30 or 40.
Exactly. Now, and so the simulator is something like to kind of dial in the software versus your movement and kind of get those ratios correct.
And they're all in. They work for the DoD.
Yeah.
And so they're all under redundancies and no errors and no room for error. And so we wanted to work all the bugs out on the simulator, transfer it to the car, and work those bugs out at slow speed, and then, do it. And so I was amazed every step of the way, but that's what it was all about. It was never, I figured we'd do this once and get our PR and be down the road. There was never a racing program. There was never any discussions about anything else. And that's why the Corvette fit as well, because it was Indy and it was iconic. And then it kind of grew horns and crazy. That first year we got 400 million impressions.
Wow.
It's close to us.
Yeah, we're hitting our numbers.
We're getting there.
We shipped the car to Electronica, which is the world's largest wholesale electronic trade show in Munich in November that year, and it was fun because they got 100,000 people. It's taking over a football field of space, convention center, the whole deal. And there were i8s, there were Mercedes, there were all kinds of stuff. Nobody gave a rat's about those. They were all over that Corvette. They just loved, American culture and everything. So
and
we drove it at the Bosch training grounds and did some pretty cool stuff.
Awesome.
And the rest has been history. But
there's a million articles people can read about this thing, so we don't want to delve too much into it. But just to quickly go over, so the build of the car, how much of that car is mechanically a vet that somebody like me could just jump into and drive? Is it is it mechanically how it is, with just a bunch of servos still controlling everything?
It's
stock pedal set and all
completely
that.
Everything's completely stock. They just put the computer in the back and tie it into the actuators that the car has.
So basically actuators controlling all the pedals.
And somebody sits in the driver's seat. They don't have to do anything. Just drive it normally. So
and then
our stuff's completely separate.
And so you control it with a combination of pressure through your mouth and head movement and things like that.
Blow in a straw to go and suck to stop, and then turn my head to turn the car. And
do you still have to wear the hat with the tracking mechanism on it?
No, sunglasses.
Oh, cool.
So you look good too.
Yeah, I look good. Doesn't mess up my hair.
Right. I get it.
But amazing company, and we just have such a great time.
And that relationship blossomed into an actual partnership with the race team.
We were able to show them how, what they did with the SAM project could be multiplied through track activation and all these other, sources. As anybody knows, it's far from a decal anymore. You got to do, 10 other things to make it all make sense. And so it just slowly, organically built over time from small associate to major, associate to primary.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
now we're working with their partners to try and get more, technology partners.
Yeah.
Because technology does make sense as an industry for IndyCar.
Yeah.
So.
One other just operational question, and then we'll move on, because I genuinely couldn't figure this out. So, like, when you blow in it to accelerate, do you have to keep doing that? Does it hold at a certain point to say this is the speed? Are you just accelerating and then it's in cruise control, or
It's progressive, just like your right foot.
Okay.
You just do nothing; it'll cruise along, but
Okay.
I mean it'll coast along. But you blow, it'll light up the rear tires, and
That's
because now we're in a Z06, and
But you don't have
Well,
to
you got it on.
continuously keep pressure down on. You don't have to keep blowing.
actually I
it.
just cover up the straw with my tongue, and it's like cruise control.
Oh, really? Okay.
Very smart.
Locks it
That
in.
is super cool.
That's awesome.
I would like to touch on the Acura thing though, because it still
Yes.
pisses me off.
Well,
to
we
this
would
day.
too.
Hey, yeah,
because
no.
I am a Honda guy.
Likewise.
I'm one of only 2 teams that's been Honda since day one.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There it
Swapping
is.
back and forth for $1, like some teams.
I hear you.
And,
Don't know who you're talking about.
And when the NSX came out, I found out pretty quickly that the roof is actually not integrated into the structure of the car. It's the last thing they put on.
Right.
It's like a monocoque type thing. And, immediately went to them and said, hey, 400 million impressions. We don't even need a free car. I just need you to go to Marysville and, take a new one and make it so it's got a removable roof so I can get in and out of the
Yeah.
damn thing.
Yeah.
And Arrow will buy the car. They want nothing for free. They'll pay for all the conversion, and you'll get all the benefits. I mean,
No kidding. Okay.
and now we're at 2.3 billion impressions over 4 years.
Right.
And deaf ears, it's just like, and I get it. R&D, like, what do they care, right? We don't care about promotion. We don't care about
One hand feeds the other.
right.
One hand feeds the other.
Yeah, it's
No.
not. It's not in my to do this to my budget or whatever. So we just keep going along. But
Now, currently, Real Time has 2 Civic Type Rs.
I was going to say we can probably get you one of the old TLXs.
Yeah,
that
I was
I
gonna say,
raced.
like, there's
Yeah.
one full season Civic Type R with you in the car.
Yeah.
but we don't have a second full
I need a
season guy
co-driver.
yet. So
I do need a teammate.
how to make that happen?
I don't know.
Full arrows wrap and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we
You
can
could be
do
on
it.
the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will point out that you have a pretty sweet Honda Odyssey outside on black wheels.
Yeah.
And we drove a Honda Odyssey across the country on season 2 of this show.
Yeah.
So we do the same thing.
Well, did you see the? Have you seen the 650 horsepower Odyssey that Simon drove?
Yeah, yeah.
Up Pikes Peak.
Yep.
I was lobbying for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As a daily driver
Yeah.
for me,
We
it's
were
like,
talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
It's actually something I could get in my wheelchair.
So
and
that
drive.
that car was built by the Honda team in Birmingham. And I've helped them with their Civic and stuff, and
Yeah.
they're really good guys. They actually got the TLX engine, which is the same engine that's currently in the Penske DP car, put it in like HPD gave them one, like, here, run this one up Pikes Peak or whatever with Pagano, and they put it all in, and it made less power than the one they built themselves at Honda in Birmingham.
wow.
And they're like, nah, we're using ours. And I thought, you guys are nuts. It's a cool program.
Yep.
So, has Sheila gone for a ride with you?
She did finally.
Yeah.
The 2 things that, there's lots of stories there, but the main 2 things are Pikes Peak, where, we go through this whole process, and, she doesn't, we've been married 25 years, so
Yeah.
she makes it a point not to pay attention because she doesn't really want to know.
Yeah.
90% of what I do is better to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Always.
Understood.
And but she's been involved with this project since day one because they sat at my kitchen table and sold it to us. And Pikes Peak, she really did not understand the magnitude and the risk until literally the morning we ran up. They had to go up at 5 o'clock to be at the top, and so her and my son drove the minivan up to the top of the hill.
Oh, so they actually had to drive the course to know. Yeah.
And
So
she
they
got to the
saw
top and told the guy from Arrow,
Don't do it.
What are we doing?
what the hell are you, I mean, like, we're like, WTF, right? Like, are you serious? But I did it in 15 minutes, and they wanted the guys from this hill climb immediately poked their head. Dude, you got to come back next year and race it. Don't do an exhibition. And I looked at Robbie Answer. I said, nope. I said, man, this is a one and done.
Yeah, we're good.
I trust this technology, but man, after doing it, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, that hill's
So that was a shocker to her. And then,
How hard would you say you were pushing?
sorry,
How hard would you say you were pushing out of 10?
probably a 9.
Oh,
it
wow.
was-
Okay.
we were
Yeah,
pushing, we were
yeah.
pushing pretty hard. I mean, it's a stock Z06, and we made no modifications for the altitude or anything.
Badass, yeah.
And originally, it was just going to be the pace car do a 30-minute run,
Yeah, right.
And then we only got to practice on the bottom half.
Yeah.
And we did like 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And Robbie's like, dude, this thing can really get with it. Let's go have some fun, you know. And and it was fine until I got above the tree line. And then I'm just looking at blue sky going,
oh, man.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Well, we made it this far. We might as well just go for it, you know. And it was crazy. But
I like that your default is, all right, hammer down.
Go for it.
What's the worst?
blow hard. The new license plate, blow hard. If we can get a state to accept it, I don't know.
I was going to say, Sean, you probably should get
Nevada,
the
they probably
Not gonna
accept that.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
What are they doing?
But the other thing is that I did last, to answer your question, last September, it was pretty emotional. We took the car to San Francisco and drove the streets of San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
And drove across Golden Gate
Yeah, I
Bridge
saw
before
that.
the Sonoma race.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And first time in 17 years I'd given her a ride.
Yeah.
And again, this is fairly available information here, but you're the first person in the U.S. with a semi-autonomous driver's license,
right.
And that carries over not just from Nevada, but like you can
Anywhere.
legally drive through California and everything else.
Yeah.
They just renewed it for 4 years, and
Yeah,
they screwed up, but I'm not going to tell them. They the first 2 years had a big red flag on it, like restriction. You have to drive with a co-pilot.
Okay.
So when I went in for renewal, I just took the picture and signed the piece of paper and got it in the mail.
Again,
There's no
forgiveness.
restriction.
Forgiveness.
No
Yeah.
restriction.
Yeah.
It's like,
Nice.
okay, let me tell you.
Well,
But,
they're gonna hear this.
But,
Yeah,
obviously,
I'm sure the DMV will be listening to
do
this.
you want to drive a 6-week cross-country podcast?
Ooh,
We can use your van.
We could
Route
use your van.
66?
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything you want.
It's your call. All right.
So one of the things I was really kind of surprised to learn about you doing some research was that your dad, Marvin, had also an injury from racing that rendered him paralyzed on the left side. Is that right? Right side? Sorry.
Right side. Yeah, they say the nut doesn't fall far from the tree.
Right.
But yeah.
Is that not just like blow your mind?
Yeah.
Like when you think about the likeliness of that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, no, I'm reading about the wrong person
Yeah.
here. That can't be. And is he like he's still involved in motorsports after that?
No, I mean he was. We go way back. We're from Nebraska, but he was a modified driver and a pretty well-known fabricator. So late '60s, a guy named Don Brown, who was a Prince of Darkness, built sprint cars for Greg Weld and Joe Saldana. And all
Prince
these
of
guys.
Darkness was like his moniker?
Yeah, because he always worked at night.
Ah,
Yeah.
my guy.
He worked all night long.
We're having breakfast or lunch with Joey Saldana on Tuesday.
So
Yeah.
ask him about
Yeah, so
Don
his-
Brown.
his son,
So
yeah.
my dad actually worked side by side for about 3 years with Tim Cindric's dad.
Oh, cool.
Building sprint cars with Don Brown. This is old age stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah, it's a good
but
stuff.
Don was in California, Van
Yeah.
Nuys. So that brought my dad to California from Nebraska and never went back. And that's where I grew up. And he put me. I never even had a bicycle. My Christmas when I was 5 years old, I got a Honda 50 and I started racing
Nice.
motocross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of. Steve McQueen's kids and all that era, just a little bit.
So
Few
basically,
years
you're
before
already
Jeff Ward.
at this point. You're living in Sylmar, California,
Yeah.
and so you're racing dirt
Racing
bikes all
Indian
around.
Dunes, Carlsbad, all that stuff.
right.
Yeah.
And my dad's racing off-road.
Okay.
So that's, to me, when men were men, that was Mickey Thompson, that was Parnelli Jones,
Yeah.
Right.
Baja 500, Baja
Yeah.
1000.
If you're an off-road guy,
Yep.
Southern California in the '80s
Yep.
is the place to be. So
Well, this was the
I would
70s.
say
70s, sorry.
When there was, when there was
through,
6
yeah.
inches of travel.
Yeah.
And when guys
big
drove the
technology.
whole 1,000 themselves, that was like
Yeah.
wow.
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
So, grew up in that whole deal. And then when I was 11, he was down in Mexico. He was leading the racing outside Ensenada. And as is typical in Mexico, you're racing on their roads.
Yeah.
And so he came around a blind corner and there was a truck there. And I had to pitch into it and brain slapped up against the skull. The same exact injury that Mark Donahue had.
Oh, wow.
But Donahue died from it.
Right.
So,
Right.
and within 6 months of each other, like Donahue's deal. So, but our guy operated, took the blood clot out, but basically left his right side paralyzed and no speech.
Yeah.
2 years of aggressive outpatient therapy and got his speech back. It got enough back to walk, but it like a stroke. Just never got his arm back.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
So I was when I was 11. Put some brakes on anything I'm doing. Go to high school, football, basketball, baseball, that stuff. But then my uncle starts racing SSGT, SCCA stuff, and it'd been 4 or 5 years, so things are a little more calm.
Yeah.
Dad's back into business. He's working his tail off. He never slowed down.
And what's he doing?
Has a wrecking yard
Okay.
in Sun Valley.
Okay. Yep.
And that's what I did. I worked in a wrecking yard and played normal stuff, and so I started wrenching on his showroom stock out at Willow Springs.
Nice. Okay.
And I'm like, I don't like the wrenching thing. I got to try this out. So I started asking around. I said, what's the most competitive, low cost, see if you got any talent thing, right? Spec Racer.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when there were no's. And California was big, man. We had 40 cars regularly in Willow Springs. Right. It was a big Spec Racer community. And this is early 90s. And I'm like, well, shoot, this is, $10,000 and, you use tires for 4 weekends and all this stuff.
Yeah, because you could actually make money racing those things back then, right?
Yeah. So, and I can easily find out if I got any talent. And bottom line was, if I can be successful at this, I'll keep chasing it, because I grew up worshiping Rick Mears and everything he did from Bakersfield, California.
Right.
As an off-road guy in the Mears gang. So this is all, the era and the situation I grew up in. Let's stay in SCCA and let's try Continental and
the series, not
Formula
Continental.
Formula Continental.
Yeah,
F2000, whatever you call it.
ST
Not the Amazing Tire Company.
Amazing Tire. Which sponsors our Corvette, by the way.
I know.
That was the best.
I know. I didn't want to bring it up.
That was the best deal I made because I've been through about $25,000 worth of tires on that Corvette now. So.
Right.
Nice.
No, nicely done.
They're all rears.
So I work with Continental. They sponsor our show, but I work with them on social media. I go to like Vegas for SEMA, and I do social, just all sorts of stuff, Hot Rod Power Tour. And that car was on display. Your Corvette was on display once, and I walked up to it and I was like, "It's not on Firestones." Picture tweet. I was posting on all our feeds because it's Continentals on it. And I'm like, how did the IndyCar guys let this happen?
Well, I gave them the opportunity, but they didn't have any size of fit.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Okay. They don't have a size of fit. I gave them the opportunity. I was loyal.
Yeah.
But then one of my guys on the commercial side has a relationship with Conti, and that was good. Because the first order went in for 20 rears and 2 fronts. Yeah. And they're like, is there a typo here? And I'm like, no typo.
Nope.
I don't need the fronts.
Yeah. I like smoke a lot. Yeah.
So they've been great.
That's cool.
That's funny.
So you're going to race Formula Continental?
Yeah, for Continental. And again, it was like I had a pretty good corporate deal going on. A really good corporate deal. And so it's like I got to make a decision here whether this is full time this year or whether we go down the suit and tie route, and I won the national championship, and it's like,
now you got to do
the rest is downhill. So I actually bought all of Greg Moore's stuff.
Oh wow!
Oh cool. Okay.
When he went from F2000 to Indy Lights, he made that leap.
Yeah.
And literally after he won the USAC Pro Championship at Willow Springs, we rolled out there and bought the dually and the 45-foot fifth wheel and everything in it, and got a guy named Steve Chalice to engineer me for 3 days of testing. He was Greg's engineer since go-karts.
Yeah.
And
for those who don't know, I mean, he would, after Greg, would go on to be like the guy at Pool Green. And
exactly.
You had a good engineer behind.
These are great. I mean, I don't know if any of these guys nowadays recognize those names, but went USF 2000 the next year and finished third in the championship. I think about 16th in the championship was your IMSA race director.
Bo Barfield.
Bo Barfield.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I raced for 3 years against Barfield.
Yeah.
First in Spec Racer, then in Continental, then in F2000.
All right, give us some dirt.
And then did you race?
He sucked every year. He sucked. Never got a top 5. So it's the old adage, right? What do average race car drivers do? Become a race director.
Yeah. Good. Good. There it is. Shots fired. What you got, Bo?
I hope he never comes back to IndyCar.
I was going to say, I'm getting a drive-through next IMSA race I do. Yeah.
You didn't say it. Bo Barfield.
All right. Well, we're lucky Veronica didn't put any conditions on our interview, so we're going to get into the hard questions.
Oh, boy.
Before your time as a big-time racing driver and before your time as a big-time IndyCar owner, you were a television star. You won. Myra's happy.
Myra's got hands in the air.
Yeah, you won. You were rich.
Yeah,
you won
$16,000
on 1980s cult classic "Press Your Luck." We watched it.
Yeah, we watched the whole thing.
Still can be seen. Did you watch all 3 episodes or just one?
Oh, there's 3?
No, we found one on YouTube.
I won 2 days.
Oh no, we know. Yeah, you were on
day.
there from like November 2nd to the 4th or something.
Yep,
baby. But the one we watched was when you were up against a guy that would go into the woods in Hawaii and be Tarzan for fun. Yeah.
I don't even remember that. But yeah,
Oh, you don't keep up with that guy? I want to meet that guy.
You meet that guy?
He literally does a Tarzan yell on the show. And
I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And it's like, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
Yeah, that's when I knew I had to kill that guy.
How did you? You're like, this is my day.
Did that have the blonde on there too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because back in the green room, her and I made a bet that whoever won had to take the other one out to dinner.
Oh, smooth.
Good man.
Yeah.
All
Smooth.
right.
So either way, someone's going out. Nice. So how'd that go?
Good.
That's not your wife,
About
right?
2 months, no.
Okay, copy
Yeah.
that.
A couple months. So
How does one end up on Press Your Luck?
In college, I never had an 8 a.m. class religiously. That was a thing. Sitting there, about 8:15, eating my Cheerios
And you went
before
to
my
Pepperdine.
9:30.
Yeah,
Yep.
Pepperdine.
So out in
And
Malibu.
it was on. Never had watched the show. Never had a religious following for the show.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, they said, "We're doing a college series. Call this number if you want to try out."
Okay.
I think I was a senior, and I called and went down there and went through the thing and went through all the.
Was it like on the old
all
CBS
the
lot?
You get it. No, it was somewhere in Hollywood. Wasn't on a lot. It was just in an industrial building,
Huh,
and you take a test to get through. Because it was a trivia game.
Yeah.
Sure.
You take a trivia game. How many 200 questions in 5 minutes, whatever you can answer, and that got you to stage 2, and you had to play the game
Right.
in front of producers
Okay.
for like 5 minutes.
And they would see if you had
And
personality.
thank God I had about 30 minutes in that room before they made me play, because you're watching
Seen the others. Right.
other people do
Yeah,
it.
right.
Because I didn't know how to play the game. I'd never seen it before.
Oh, fair enough.
So I went in and played it and acted all stupid. And,
Which
and
they
I didn't
love.
get a call for like 30 days. And then I got a call and they said, the college thing is done, but we want you to go on the real show,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
non-college show.
Right.
Okay, great. So, and the deal I had with my parents is they paid for college because I had great grades in high school, but anything beyond that, I was done, cut off,
Yeah.
out of the house. So that actually paid for my MBA.
Right.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very cool. So TV can help dreams come true.
Yeah.
And
except in
in
my
one hand
case.
out the other. But it was cool after the fact. It was like we had friends in from Australia, and they came to the taping. They're like, "Holy shit, he just won $16,000, which is still a lot of money." But
Right.
in
Yeah, yeah.
1995, that was a lot of money.
Right, right.
And they probably think that just happens to everybody in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At
Everyone's
one
a
point,
TV
you're going to
star.
go on TV. Yeah. Exactly. So how
Couldn't
long?
get away from the beach.
How long did you ride the TV fan? Stardom to the ladies.
Big
How long
deal
did
that you were.
That social media, if social media was around back then, that would have been really, really huge.
Yeah.
But, didn't get me any sponsors.
What about phone numbers?
We got you 2 months of fun.
Got me 2 months.
Right, but she was
with the
famous too.
blonde.
That was like
And
a
she was about 10 years older. too,
celebrity
so it was-
couple. Nice.
Nice.
Word.
Learning early.
You might have to watch the show again now. I know you don't. I know you're gonna watch the show again. Just pay more attention to the blonde.
I was mesmerized by the Tarzan guy. Like
Yeah.
that guy with the mustache and,
Well,
and the Tarzan
Well,
yell.
so basically,
I do
you
remember that.
You
Yeah.
answer trivia questions, and we're gonna just talk about
And
this
it-
show
and
for the next 4
yeah,
And
minutes.
basically-
it gives you spins.
Yeah,
Right.
and the spin
And-
is like this, like
And you can win prizes, but you can also get whammies.
yeah,
right.
right.
So
he knows.
they tell you, you need to, if you get a bunch of spins, you need to pass them
Yeah.
and let them whammy out because that pisses people off or whatever. But I wasn't about that. I was going to use my spins
Yeah,
and
right.
make money. And,
Yeah.
and I didn't play the game normally, but
And basically, a
But
spin
it
is
worked-
like this,
it
like
worked for
light
2
up.
days, not
Right.
the third
It's like a light up panel that goes across. Like one board will have like $1,000, another will be this like thing called a whammy,
Whammy.
where you
A
lose
whammy.
all your money.
Yep.
and you try to time it.
So that the LED lights magically pop up on the dollar value that
right.
you want. Now, do they coach you to say really ridiculous things before you hit the button to stop
Like-
it?
They don't coach you, but if you don't, you're not on the show.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you
okay.
gotta ham it up.
Okay.
You gotta ham it up.
Because everybody had really awkward sayings.
Yeah,
like no one
right.
was delivering it naturally. It was like
Yeah.
cold hard cash.
Yeah,
cold
right.
hard
No
cash.
Hard, cold cat. Wait,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
No whammies. Big
no
bucks.
whammies.
No
Yeah,
whammies.
no whammies.
Big bucks. Big bucks.
I like the fact that part of that story led to like a phone number
Yeah.
in the back room.
It's a Sam Schmidt head game.
Yeah. So we are speaking of fun things. We understand there's a Halloween costume we were supposed to ask about.
Yes.
I know we're doing well because Myra's just nodding along like
All
good.
right.
It's scripted,
Good.
but
Good.
Good. We can't name the source we heard it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never lost a Halloween contest
Okay.
Okay.
since I've been paralyzed because I go as a crash test dummy.
Yes.
It all started about 2002, 2001, 2002, on the Disney cruise following the IndyCar season.
Okay.
It happened to be at the same time as Halloween, so all the owners and drivers and everybody dressed up, and I was dressed this time. I mean, my wife was my tech with the white
So
lab
she had like
coat.
a lab coat.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Although I did honestly think I was going to lose out to Alonso Jr. Because he showed up with his then stripper wife
Good. I like the pause.
in the complete S&M outfit.
Yes. Good.
Complete.
Good.
With
Okay.
leash,
This is why.
with medal, with everything.
This is why.
It's kind of like everybody's covering up their kids' eyes. Like,
Right.
There's like three.
It's a
there's like-
Disney cruise.
There's like three.
Right.
It's a Disney cruise. And there's like 5-year-olds all dressed up. Like, the Seven Dwarfs and stuff.
Right.
And here comes Al with a cigarette in his studs. I mean, it was great.
And he didn't win.
I just didn't have my
Wait, so it wasn't just
I didn't
the-
have my sunglasses with
It wasn't
me.
just the wife. Al is full on, like with a leash and everything. Oh,
the
my
hat,
goodness.
the black hat.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Macho. And,
This is why we do this show.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy I raced against, but I can remember that.
Right. Who's the guy
remember
that
every
won the
detail of
championship?
that.
No idea.
The Disney cruise.
Little Alan.
But that was good.
Yeah.
We didn't do another Disney cruise after that. But it was down to us and him. So
Okay.
won a few of those. But I also wore that outfit NHRA Friday night. They always have in Vegas. They always race on Halloween weekend. And so
you're like
Friday night in Vegas. Everybody, the fans are encouraged to dress up.
yeah, that's
Good.
awesome.
That was a big hit.
So you're like in the full on.
I get a lot of. Is he really dressed up like that?
Yeah, like
Yeah, hey, that's great, man. I love it. Sick, but I love it.
Can you defend your sideburns in your IRL career?
Not that it's changed much now, as Hinch will attest to, but back in the 97, 98, 99 IRL season, we were definitely, looked at as the organization that broke up Champ Car,
Right.
Yeah.
killed
yeah.
open wheel racing,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So every bit of self-promotion you can do, the better.
Sure.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So you
You
knew
know.
what you were doing.
I mean, being from Vegas and everybody knew I was from Vegas and having no primary sponsor and all
Right.
that stuff. It's like I showed up at Disney World with just not really like lamb chops, but just like longer sideburns. And I hadn't even thought about it. Somebody's like, fan goes, "Hey Elvis, how's it going?" I'm like, There you go. So
I can do that. Yeah.
we grew them out all year and then culminated in Vegas when I won with jet black dyed
Yeah,
hair.
right.
The
Yeah,
whole
that's the
deal.
one
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamb chops.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the ultimate deal. My crew got a big laugh out of it, and then I showed up at our sponsor party in an Elvis outfit,
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Red.
Nicely
Commitment.
done.
big
Commitment.
buckled, the
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
As you do.
Rented it for the night, the whole day.
Right.
As you do.
So is that why Hinch can get away with some of his stuff?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like nothing's
More
gonna
power to you.
right.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna put you off
No.
on that regard. It's like fun and games. Okay, you should start a sports car
Go for
team.
Yeah.
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 So obviously politics are not normally something we talk about over dinner with racers, but last election you voted, I'm assuming.
absolutely never miss a vote.
Yeah, and you mind sharing with us who you cast for your vote there?
I almost mind sharing, but I will honestly admit it was Johnny Rock Page.
Fair enough. We're hearing a lot of that lately.
Yeah, it's a sensible choice.
Pretty common.
Johnny Rock Page. For the name.
So a big part of Sam Schmidt legacy will, despite IndyCar, will be Indy Lights. You guys are like the most successful Indy Lights team. You've worked with amazing drivers, current champion Joseph Newgarden as well as many others. Who's the name that you got to work with maybe as a one-off or like a handful of races, or didn't really get to work with that much that didn't make it and you thought they probably would have?
I often tell people it's really probably one of the coolest things about last Indy 500 because I was looking at a 33 car starting field and saw 14 people that have been through our Indy Lights program.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And that the trophies are cool and all this other stuff is cool, but that's the ultimate sign of success in my mind is that you
How many
put
guys
that
you've
many
touched.
people in there and
help those many, yeah.
and 90% of them haven't brought a check to do it. That's
Right.
even more cooler. But the one that in my eyes really got away was Alex Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just purely a timing thing, and purely timing and bad advice in the sense that we did everything, and Ganassi picked him up, and he's a development driver, and he's in their system. And it was Scott and Dan. And Dan took the job with Panther, and Alex should have had that seat, and Dario decides, calls Chip and says, I want to come back to IndyCar.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that owned her energy drink in Santa Monica that had funded the pink car that we ran for Chip with Alex. And guy was just a little prick. And he told Alex, I'll fund your program next year if you get away from Chip. And never did it. But in the meantime, Alex canceled his contract with Chip.
Yeah.
And I think had he been more patient, he would have drove a sports car for a year, made good money.
Yeah.
He has no regrets. I mean, the guy's living in Livermore. He's writing for Yahoo. And
We're friends. I'm friends with him. He's
yeah, unbelievable driver.
Yeah.
Unbelievably talented, unbelievably smart, and should be racing here full time.
Yeah.
And just boom, boom, a few little things there, and believing somebody that you shouldn't believe, and your writing story.
What's the dumbest energy drink name that has come across your desk that wasn't real? Because I'm sure you've had at least 12 aspiring energy drink companies come to you.
Shout out Rhino Rush.
Yeah. No.
I thought her was unique. Healthy energy revitalizer. Her and Pink Can and
Okay.
Right.
the big Santa Monica office and
half the market.
Oh, they actually had an
lots
office.
of OPM. Yep.
They had an office, or they had a rendering of an office?
Oh, they had an office.
And they had a PO box.
Yeah.
Right.
Had an office because we sent many legal notices to them, and they
don't
signed
went that
for them,
far.
but never got any money out of that deal. Attorneys won out on that one.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So Larry Gunselman is basically the fault for Alex Lloyd.
Yeah.
Because that stops Dario's
Actually, that's a good
NASCAR
bring it back
career.
around.
Yeah, the Indy Lights thing was magic, and really enjoyed doing that. Sometimes I'm like, life was so much simpler,
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
employees and, 1/20th the budget, and
Right.
I'd be home in Vegas by now.
Fair enough.
Right. Right.
Well, and
coming back for the Freedom 100 and then go, it's just, a lot more time by the pool than I have now. And
and presumably you're not building. There aren't 4 trucks coming in to build a
Compounds.
structure for your sponsor that you had to go and get. These are usually drivers who are coming with sponsorship, or they have somebody on board with them, and it's just one person you're accountable to.
the parent.
Often a father, exactly.
Right,
So
right,
yeah.
right. The parrot. I like
Yep.
that.
You should be.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you say parent?
Parent.
Oh, I thought you said parrot. Just on your shoulder the whole time, like, don't let them do that. No, they're screwing you. No, get out of here.
That's
A
what
lot
you
of them
need.
are like that too.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought. I was like, wow,
The
nice
parent
reference.
parrot on your shoulder.
Yeah, the parent
Yes.
parrot. Yeah.
4 parents a year, not 15 sponsors.
You
is a
might
lot
like
better.
sports car then.
I was gonna say we should ask about this because if you had 14 guys on the grid, that's a lot of little league. Or what was the
4
mini bike dads?
Oh.
Mini bike dads is
Yeah,
what Roger
Roger.
Hayden referred to them, but go kart dads. Who is the worst go kart dad you've ever had to work with?
Oh wow.
That maybe is a good person.
We can bleep this.
Oh, yeah, it's more for our
We didn't
entertainment.
want to know.
Yeah.
The problem is he's still racing with you guys. Come in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
he's been a
that's-
comment every season
Yeah.
is 4
Yeah.
conversations.
He did not know how to do a load of laundry.
Really?
No.
And he was how old when he
His
came in?
mom flew up here once a month to do his laundry and clean his apartment.
What?
Yeah. That's 16,
And he was
17 years old when he drove for me.
Right.
Oh my god.
Indy
Right.
Lights.
Couldn't do laundry.
Yeah. To that point, every dad who would come through your Indy Lights program, their kid is going to be an Indy 500
Ayrton
champion.
Senna, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the
yeah.
best driver in
My
the sport.
son Connor.
How do you?
Did you ask Hinchcliffe to do it too?
Yeah, yeah.
He is
I can't stop
so
saying it now.
good.
We're just driving down the road and I'm just saying, my son Connor.
But Connor, funny thing, right? I mean, that was another timing wild thing, right? Like we had Joseph Newgarden, and that is one I think we really went out of our way because I watched the kid race in Newcastle, and he goes to Europe, and I followed him, and he's doing okay. But even with Carlin in GP3s, having his ass handled to him or whatever, and I called a few people, got Joey's phone number, said, need to bring this kid back. We need to make a deal. We need to figure this out, and got him back, and it was perfect timing, and the rest is history. But he was on the same team as Connor. I mean, we had 4 guys, Joseph and Connor, but Connor was splitting GP3, So we had Brian Clausen doing the ovals.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And Connor doing the ovals,
Yeah.
are doing the road course. Connor gets off to an unbelievable start and is leading the points at Long Beach before he switches off and goes to GP3. And I'm telling his dad, like, man, we're on a roll here. We got momentum, and you got the scholarship. This is going to turn into a full-time gig in IndyCar if you keep him here and win the championship.
Right.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
And Newgarden wins the championship. So it's like, man, he can go year by year and find some really interesting twists and turns and stuff. So.
Right.
Well, Derek Daly I would consider an exception just in the sense that he actually has worked in the sport. But a lot of these dads who every one of their kids is Ayrton Senna. How do you...
Not John Festa. John Festa.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was a bit...
He's a peach?
Yeah, he's a peach.
But how do you, like, are you... Which team owner are you, or do you kind of vary depending on the person? Are you you're full of shit. This is the real deal, or do you cater your tale to the dad to kind of keep everything healthy? I mean, there's different ways you can do it, and we know a lot of different team owners who sell.
No, I think I was pretty brutally honest in the sense that as I was having these conversations with the people, I would tell them, I can absolutely, positively guarantee you that every car has its own dedicated engineer, its own dedicated crew chief, its own second mechanic. This is the way we do things. We will absolutely prep every car identically. And the good news and the bad news is the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah.
And it's total open book data sharing. You'll have all the information. We do dartfish. We got a driver coach. Yeah. We throw everything at this thing we possibly can. And if one guy on the team's in first place and your kid's in 10th, it's all right there in black and white.
Yeah, you can look right at it.
So
Well, so
the good news is you're either saving yourself a lot of money long term, or you're you're gonna it's gonna cost you more money. But it probably cost us some people along the way. But over time, it got us the best. I think there were some times we had 3 guys capable of winning the championship. And
so how many times have you been accused of for the 12th place driver, like, my money's funding Newgarden, and like how many times did that happen?
I don't think I had a lot of that. I mean, really? I think some of it might have been reality that it is new. This is the way the game gets played.
Right.
But,
as the winningest team, you can probably say that.
Yeah.
You're helping us with our whole program.
Yeah.
But
you want to race against the best. And I mean, you can go over the other team and not know if I've got better equipment than you do or not, or you can race against the best and determine whether your kid's worth funding in the future or not.
Right.
So I'm a 15-year-old go-karter, or I'm his dad, and I've done some good stuff, won a national championship or 2. How do I talk myself out of ever getting a good lights deal with somebody like you?
Talk myself out
of getting to run with Sam Schmidt Motorsports.
Well, number one, we don't have a lights team anymore, but
easy.
Probably just be an arrogant little prick.
Yeah. That's pretty straightforward.
Because there's plenty of those around, and
the market's cornered on that.
At the end of the day, nowadays you got to be as good out of the car as you are in the car.
Right.
And it's one thing to be confident and race confidently and have the ability and sort of common sense to back it up and not tear stuff up. But that's another thing if you're just completely arrogant about it.
With that being said, you have Robert Wickens just came into IndyCar. He's been doing an amazing job. Is his contract public, whatever it is with you guys, like his length with you?
A while.
Okay, so you got him. Because the most common thing that I've read, heard, or whatever for the last 3 months has been like, is it going to be Penske or Ganassi that gets him? So
let's just say I learned my lesson with Simon Pagenaud.
Copy that.
Yeah,
loud and clear.
Copy.
Loud and clear. Okay. Yeah, cool. So he's like an 8-year contract then. We're just going to put that out there. Yeah, the Bobby Wickens 8 years.
Heard it here first.
Yeah.
10
years. Just keep going.
How's Lena Gade fitting in?
Good. I mean, it's good in the sense that she's very intelligent and comes from bigger organizations that can hopefully over time help us implement quality control techniques and consistency and do all those kind of things. But at the same time, we don't want to be a 200-person bureaucracy that has meetings to schedule meetings and all those kind of things.
Right.
So, and she's also having to learn that, let's face it, an engineering in IndyCar or Indy Lights or any of those things has to do a lot more managing of multiple things than she would have at Audi, right?
Right. Right.
She would have had
she's got people working for her.
10 minions below her feeding her a dashboard of information that now she's got to manage as well. So we're working through all that. Fortunately, we have Todd Malloy, who has done her job for 15 years, and is also a technical director. So he's on the stand, guiding, preparing. If there's one area that we probably have a couple people too many is engineering, just to be able to make sure we don't lose anything in the meantime of her converting to IndyCar situation. So we got Will Anderson, who we've loaned out to Shank for the IndyCar races. So these are all guys that we're implementing into the system, guys and gals implementing the system. And at the end of the day, there's been a lot said about her, but we hired her because she was a good engineer.
Right.
There just happens to be a female. She doesn't do her job, she won't be there.
Right.
Female or male. So it's she's loves America and likes a lot of things about IndyCar that are different than over there, which are all obvious. And so it's she's living with Piers Phillips and his family. So
how does that initial interaction begin? Did she reach out to you guys? You guys are looking that way?
I always try to look outside this box because I get mad when other people poach my people, which happens all the time. It's the industry. But I also am looking for fresh perspective. So when Rob went to Andretti a couple years ago, I went to sports cars to get European sports cars to get Piers Phillips, and then we're always looking that way for dampers and looking other technical advice. And she had worked with Piers 5 years ago, so he gave a shout. And just last year we finished 15th and we weren't happy. And nothing against the people that that we let go, because now they're with other teams and they're doing good, and those teams are successful. So more power to it. It's just chemistry, and
it's got to be clicking,
and the whole deal. And so,
as a mechanic, I experienced a loss of life with a driver, and I was in charge of that car, and there was 2 people working on it. It's not like an IndyCar program back then, and so I had to go through I was 17, so I had to go through a lot of the mental, just stress and everything that goes along with all the pain. Obviously, Vegas, we lost Dan Weldon, and he was driving basically a one-off for you guys to try to go get that $5 million fan bonus. How does a team owner going through a terrible situation yourself, how do you handle the loss of a driver, especially in IndyCar where it's dangerous?
Yeah, not very well, because it all started with Tony Renna back in 2003. We had just ran him in a cooperative effort with Kelly on the Indy 500, and then he got the calling to go get Assy, and that happens. And I wasn't here, but we knew him very well. And then we had Davey Hamilton driving for us when he got hurt in Texas, and 20 odd surgeries later, and still involved with the sport and still being stupid like me. But it's there's been a few of those, obviously Justin, etc. But I think Dan was the closest to just hanging it up and going to Hawaii. It's that was real. That was there. That was us. It was more importantly, 30 seconds earlier, I'm looking at the monitor saying, this is f***ing crazy. There's no way we should be doing this right now, because we're lap 10 and these guys are racing 3 inches apart. And didn't say anything, he was going for it, and he was having fun. He passed 10 people, I think, in the first 10 laps, and I still don't quite, I've been a guy that for my entire life thinks everything happens for a reason, and even in my situation now, even though I don't like it, I can see the positive effect that our foundation has had on thousands of people over the years.
Right.
And now the products and things we're developing, and now Aero and this technology they're giving away freely to anybody that'll use it. All of these things I can say, hey, even the fact that I think my kids have probably turned out better.
Yeah.
They will be better adults for the fact that they've been around me all my life. All these things I can put the silver lining on me.
Yeah.
But Dan was my age when I got hurt.
Yeah.
His kids were my kids' age when I got hurt, and I could have easily won. If the IndyCar support team and their helicopter's not there, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So why did I live? Why didn't Dan live?
Right.
Here's probably the biggest and best advocate for IndyCar you've ever seen in a driver. I don't know. So I just thought about it for a couple weeks and decided to stay in, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you ever come to grips with it properly.
Right.
Kind of back to the team, of the structure of the team. We sat down with Craig Hampson last year, and arguably Dale Coyne is one of the smaller teams, but of what was like a 15-person team, which is somewhere around the size of like what a small sports car team would be as well. The one thing that blew us away was that a third or more of those were engineers, which is not true in sports car racing.
Right. Yeah.
How much of, say, a team like yours, which is one of the better teams, but maybe without the resources of a Ganassi or a Penske, what percentage of your group would you say is engineering?
On a per head basis, it's a pretty big percentage, but on a people head count basis, I think it's about a third.
Yeah. But to your point, it sounds like
and it's getting more just because they keep limiting testing, and all that does is increase your simulation and your 7-post rig and your wind tunnel. All those other budgets go up, and need more people to run those programs. And so, that's why we built our mission control, which is a feather light just for engineering.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you couldn't fit them all in the lounge.
Sure.
So from a budget standpoint, it sounds like your single biggest cost is engineering labor. Is a pretty big number.
Well, engineering, R&D, and dampers and everything goes around it. Because you can argue all you want, but for 4 or 5 years they've had dampers be open. Yeah. And again, it's the fans don't care, and nobody cares, and all that stuff. But
those spoils are going to go to the teams.
It's $500,000 to $700,000 a year.
Yeah. Incredibly.
Just in that. Yeah. So we kind of stepped over it. Myra, how long have you been together? 18 years.
Since 6 months after my accident. So.
Are you anti-talking?
No. June will be 18 years.
July will be 18 years. He
Wow.
came home in June, and 2 weeks later I started with him.
Oh wow! So
literally
quintessentially kind of day one, kind of.
From the moment, pretty close to from when he came home. I didn't know him when he was in the hospital, and I didn't know him when he came home.
Were you a racing fan prior?
It's really funny. I worked the Las Vegas race that Richie Hearn won.
Oh.
1996.
And then Richie drove for us. It was so weird. It was like...
Right.
Yeah.
I know that person. Yeah.
O'Connell wound up in his head.
I'm sorry?
O'Connell?
Yeah. Wound up in his head.
We'll get to that in a sec. Well, we got some O'Connell questions for you.
But not a racing fan per se?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. But so you came in basically as sort of a specialist in assistance.
Yeah. I came in...
Physical therapist.
Physical therapy.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then morphed into this.
Kind of the role that you've got now. Yes. How do you like life on the road?
She doesn't anymore.
Life on the road is very different than what it's
I met her in Vegas, and then she met my team manager and married and moved back here. So.
Oh, okay. So you're now part of the family.
Well, Myra kind of does everything east of the Rockies.
Okay. I was going to say that kind of
travel.
You said everything. You believe everything happens for a reason. Yeah. You would have never met your husband.
I
probably would have never divorced her first husband.
I probably would. Everything happens for a reason. Oh no, yeah. See, this is
the face he made, like, oops.
If my mom hadn't died,
if her mom hadn't died, she wouldn't.
His cousin wasn't my best friend, one of my best friends, and then we would have never met.
Right.
Okay.
But I got his phone number from his cousin. I lived in Reno. My mom passed away. I was moving
and she
to Las
moved
Vegas.
back to Vegas.
She said, hey, this is my cousin looking for an assistant. I'm like, dude, that's not my gig.
Yeah.
And I moved down there. My job's like, hey, we need you to take a guy. And I'm like, okay. I go. They pop open his folder, and I'm like, and here's his phone number. I had it in my pocket. It was like,
wow.
I mean, so there's like
creepy
all
stuff.
these things. And then, so I moved to Las Vegas, and I sat next to him solidly 320 days a year.
Wow.
300 to 320 days of the year for many years.
Yeah.
And then met my husband. First Indy 500 I came here to. He was the first person that shook my hand, and he shook my hand like I was a person, not like I was a girl.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. You have a good handshake?
I do.
Okay, good.
All right, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not going to shake.
And you said east of the Rockies, so you.
I do.
She lives here. She
I
does.
live here.
She does all the
Okay.
team travel. She does all
I do,
my
yeah, I do
travel,
all the logistics.
all my
So,
logistics, and I have an assistant in
So
Vegas.
Okay, so in Vegas, there's somebody who
that does stuff
yeah.
around there.
Okay.
And like this weekend, she flew me back here.
Yeah.
Myra took over. She worked
Okay.
for the team in hospitality.
Okay.
And she's already back in Vegas.
Oh, cool.
So it's
Okay.
just kind of a, and then like we race at Road America. This coach will already be there.
Right.
Myra meets us at the airport in Chicago, and
Yeah.
and we do our thing, and then fly back, and it's just
So
you get the hang of it after.
Right.
So when this is over,
Last year was 140 days on the road and 40 flights for me.
Wow.
So
when this
no
is
one
over,
person can do that.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you'll go to Detroit from here. You'll drive
Drive
to
there.
Michigan, and you'll be with him in the van.
Drive to
Yep.
Nashville,
Okay.
this board meeting, then we'll drive to Nashville to Detroit. And
Brandy will fly in to help with
Detroit.
hospitality,
Take
and then
over.
she'll fly me home after Detroit.
Okay.
Shameless plug. That sounds like a lot of road tripping.
It is.
And we have this great show that you can listen to
missing
called
Road
Dinner with
trip.
Drivers. No.
Road tripping.
What's the biggest
I'm
pet
into the
peeve
tripping.
that he does? Because after 18 years, you're allowed to bust chops, right?
Here we go.
I don't really have any.
Oh, there's got to be
No.
like
No, I
we
don't have, like-
we do 30 days on the road together, and I sing to the radio because you get so bored, and I'm sure it drives him crazy.
Oh,
but I don't
so-
stop doing
so
it.
If you say that, it pisses me off.
She's
It's
self-censoring
real.
herself.
Yeah.
When
We're bleeping it
that's
anyway.
Everybody else is
We're
like,
bleeping it anyway.
fucking pisses me off.
You need the
I've been
microphone,
driving
Megan?
all day, and it's like 11:30 at night, and you have to realize where he sits in that minivan. He sits right behind the rearview mirror, and he's back there. I am exhausted. I've been up since 5 in the morning.
She's like,
This is bullshit that you're
You guys can
sleeping.
describe that on the. That's
Oh
funny.
my gosh. So,
No, it's true.
yes,
I mean,
that's
well,
like the worst.
The day after the Indy 500, we'll drive to Nashville 5 hours, and then we'll do all day board meeting, and I'll have to drive all the way to Detroit.
Yeah.
But but halfway through I'll be.
It's so, oh my gosh, that's and it's not it's just frustrating.
Right,
It's
because you're like, I
so-
want to sleep.
And so
it's
yeah,
right
we
in
were
my
coming back
face.
from Barber.
Is that the only thing you can dig up? Come on, you can do better than that. Jesus Christ.
That's like,
At least sometimes I've woken up and I've talked you home when I hear the rumple strips.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning.
I've I'll talk her home.
45
Yeah.
minutes outside of Indy, and he's like,
We gotta
"Come
make
on,
it."
We've got to make it. I'm like, dude, I'm spent. I'm like, my eyes are closed. Unless you want to sit in this seat. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm going to kill you.
Sounds so
Can't do
good.
this
This is really close to
About to
home.
say, yeah, this is it's a mirror right here. It's
yes.
Alright.
I realize I am multiple people's second wives, and I happen to be one of his.
Right.
Well,
We
he's
both have
one
a
of my
similar
multiple
situation
husbands,
that,
yes.
in that if she spent 365 days with her husband, they'd be divorced.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the first year I was married to my wife, I was on what?
She's pointing at the
5-year-old,
5-year-old girl thing that says, "Mommy's favorite thing to do is go to work."
because I get to leave.
Right.
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
To leave.
Yep.
Got her trained well.
We get that.
But first year I was married to my wife. I was on the road 250 days racing and testing and all this stuff, and so I'm home after getting hurt. 6 months in the hospital. I'm home for 90 days, and my wife's like, "You need to find something to do. It's gonna
Right.
get you the hell out of this house
Yep.
and
Start twitching.
go back to work." So now it's about 100 days. I got to be gone,
Yeah.
Right.
and it works.
So you fly, regular Delta or whatever.
Southwest is my deal.
Southwest. Okay.
Oh.
So
My private jet with 143, my favorite.
yeah, right. How do you?
Now 175. It's an 800 series.
Oh, all right. So you do fly a lot then.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
knowing the planes.
When
and
you start, when they have
same
3,000
people.
flight attendants and you know a few by name.
You're right. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, good to see you again.
Yeah.
You're like, it's not good.
No, hey, you got my drink ready?
Yeah, right. Exactly. How do you travel? Because I have a friend that also has a spinal injury, and
Yep.
she has she doesn't actually have to use a chair, but when she goes to the airport, she needs to because it's such a long way to walk, and so they just use the regular chair and they get them there. Is there somebody that flies with you always, or do you fly by yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
I fly with somebody.
Yeah.
It's only one person, either Myra or Brenda or
Right.
my wife or my kids. Or Lord, that'll do it. But thank God for Daryl Gwynn, because when I decided to go racing, the first person I thought of with him and said, "Hey, man, you're doing 26 NHRA events a year. How do you do it?"
Yeah.
And he talked me through the motorhome situation, what it needed. And I don't use mine as much as he did. I use mine for maybe 6 or 7 events.
Right.
But the main thing is the travel, and the budget doesn't accommodate for the private jet thing. And to tell you the truth, the private jet thing doesn't work.
Right, so-
because unlike Gumby, it's like not easy to get me in and out of one of those
Right,
things.
yeah.
And I don't have some of the disadvantages that people have in commercial in that Vegas is an amazingly accommodating airport.
Mm-hmm.
because it's a tourist destination. They get you in and out quick. So I literally go from the curb to a wheelchair Southwest gate, wheelchair Southwest counter. Right. Maybe one or two people, but I'm right there. I'm right through a wheelchair line of security.
Right.
I mean, I've arrived as late as 50 minutes before my flight and had no problem making it because of those accommodations. And then with the gate ops, we have a system where I don't travel with this chair. This chair lives in Indy or lives on the transporter. Okay. Along with that van lives here, along with my shower chair, toiletries, and complete stock of clothing. Right. So I never travel with a suitcase. Okay. But I have a manual chair that's under the coach right now that I designed narrow enough to get to the first aisle of a Southwest jet. There you go. So I don't have to get in the aisle chair. So they wheel me down there, they back me there, they board me first into first officer's aisle seat, and away we go. You know, about as good a system as you can possibly have. Yeah. But you can't do anything spontaneously anymore. I mean, previously you could just, I got to be in New York tomorrow, let's go.
No problem.
Now it takes planning, and the van is an issue because those aren't always available in every city. And we work with a network of dealers that rents them when I don't have my van. But it takes a lot of planning, which she's got down pat. So, generally speaking, by January we've booked my whole year of flights and hotels and stuff. So it's we've had our in the range of 50 times when you do all the preparation, you got an ADA room with a roll-in shower and it's guaranteed, and here's my room number, and you show up at 11 o'clock and I put somebody in there.
Right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
about to say that's got to be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the time.
Is it really? Yeah.
Less now than it used to be.
Okay.
And more hotels, when they say they have a roll-in shower, have a roll-in shower. And now the bigger ones are actually, you can book it online. And up until 2-3 years ago, that wasn't the case. Yeah. You had to physically call the hotel and talk to a manager. It's a royal pain in the ass. But
now, once you're in the room, are you pretty self-sufficient?
With somebody,
with help. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything you got to do in the morning, she's got to do for me.
Okay.
Wake up tomorrow morning, be able to
shave,
do this and this.
toothbrush, whatever. So
usual stuff.
But I feel blessed because, again, I can look at my situation and say it can always be worse. And I think for a lot of people, they look at me and say, well, Jesus, I broke my leg, but So I get a lot of people that say, I had a bad day until I looked at your situation. Well, thanks. That makes me feel good. But I did,
glad I could do that for you.
Yeah, for you. But I had the same thing happen with Christopher Reeve. I did a couple of speaking engagements with him early on. Yeah, he was live for about 5 years after my injury, and he'd show up with 10 people and couldn't go anywhere without a G20 and or G2 and on a ventilator and couldn't hold his head up.
Right.
Just when I look at that, I'm like, and I got a lot of things I'm thankful for.
Doing all right.
So
when we were with
and then the VAs with the SAMCAR, we visited a lot of VAs, and
which is
about 30% there are TBI or traumatic brain injury.
Right.
I mean, they're all under 35 years old, and you don't know if there's anybody home when you're talking to them. And it's like,
could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
When we were with Roger Hayden a couple of days ago, he mentioned how, no one's poorly intentioned, but he couldn't, especially the few months after Nicky had his accident, that he couldn't go anywhere without everyone saying some sort of story about his brother or whatever. And at a certain point, he's like, I appreciate it, but I'm done. I don't need to hear about it. I got to go on with my day. Is that true for you, where people incessantly talk about these things?
No, I mean, not maybe early on, but now it's been 18 years, and it's funny because I think nowadays, at least in IndyCar paddock, people don't look at me as somebody's like paralyzed.
Yeah, good.
They think of me as an IndyCar team owner.
Yeah,
right.
That just happens to be paralyzed, but I'm competitive and I want to win, and I'm not letting my disability get in the way of that. And just that's it. There's no pity, that's for sure.
Good.
We're not gonna, we're not going to let up on you because you're in a wheelchair type of thing.
Sure.
But, which I like, that's great. But I do get a lot of people that, there isn't a day that goes by that we don't get an email about, inspiration and, things just happen that do truly motivate me on a daily basis. Seb got hurt last year, went to the hospital to visit him. As we're rolling out of there, the nurse says, hey, I got a guy over here that's a C5 quad, and he's little down in the dumps. Can you talk to him? I'm like, sure, we're on our way to our sponsor party, but I'll give him 10 minutes. And I go in there, and the guy in his 30s, and he's got his parents there, and they're just like, they've been there like a week, and it's usually the breadwinners, and at that point, the divorce rate's 85%.
Yeah.
Right.
And just all this stuff. And so, but I also don't pull any punches because I can. And, Mom's all feeling sorry for him and everything. And so tell me what's going on. Tell me what happened, and where are you at in the last couple of weeks? And, besides the depression, he's, all I can do is wiggle my toe. And I basically said, you fucking idiot. You can wiggle your toe? Are you feeling anything? Yeah, I got some sense in my legs and stuff like that. And I said, and you don't want to do physical therapy? Let me tell you what's going to happen here.
Right.
You can either sit there and get a pressure sore and do nothing and be dead in 5 years, or you can focus 8 hours a day on wiggling that toe and see what happens. And I just lit him up, and no sugarcoating or anything.
Right.
It's like, there is only one thing that's sure right now, buddy, is if you work your ass off for 8 or 10 hours a day, for as long as your insurance company lets you be here, you may see recovery, and you may become more independent, and you might not have to have somebody wipe your ass for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or you can lay there and do nothing and, wilt away.
Right.
And they sent me weekly updates, and I think about 2.5 months after that, I still have it on my phone. He walked out of the hospital.
No way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And had Seb not been there, I never would have talked to him.
Right. Yeah.
Weird stuff, huh?
Yeah.
But that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Not maybe to that magnitude, but it's some weird stuff.
Were you on the other side of that at any point? Did anybody, like you mentioned, doing a few things with Christopher Reeve, did you ever have somebody kick you in the ass?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm people that saw me back then versus now say, man, you're way ahead of where you were, because I lost 40 pounds and I couldn't hold my head up and I couldn't sit up and I couldn't do everything I do now. And even all this shoulder movement stuff, it was not possible, 15 years ago. But I've often, for a while I was depressed. Like, man, I work out 2-3 hours a day, try to get stuff back. And why haven't I got more recovery? Well, it's because I can go talk to that guy and tell him to get his ass in gear from experience. Yeah. And the guy that kicked my butt in the hospital was a guy named Pat Rummerfield. And Pat's a walking quad. In 1974, he went off the road 100 miles an hour in a Corvette. And back then, you could get your insurance to cover for like a year in rehab. And so he was bad. He was like C3, all messed up. His MRI looks a lot like mine. But he worked his tail off, wiggled his toe first, and then it worked his way up his body. And it was about 18 months after his accident that he walked out of the hospital. And he's written a couple books. He went on to drive a battery electric streamliner at Bonneville at 254, and he did the whole Ironman.
Oh wow.
An amazing guy. And when he found it, he was based in St. Louis, and so I got shipped to Barnes Jewish after my accident in St. Louis, and he was there every day pushing me. So he was a real inspiration, but kind of a pay it forward thing. Yeah.
How heavy was the depression for the early stages?
The early stages, I honestly didn't have time to think about it. I was, right or wrong, I'd been inspired by my dad's recovery previously, and then I had a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and they packed up the 4Runner and moved to St. Louis, got an apartment, and they were there every morning and night, and cards and letters from the motorsports community were pouring in every day. And I mean, I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went to therapy for 3 hours, I came back, ate lunch, went to therapy for 3 hours, came home, I was exhausted, had dinner, and just, you do that for 6 months. You just
So you founded the Sam Schmidt Motorsport or Paralysis Foundation after meeting Frank
10 times.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm dumb anyway. I'm a race car driver. I'm an idiot.
Just say Sam Schmidt 10 times, hold your tongue. It's not going to be pretty. I can't do it.
You founded that after meeting Frank Williams, Sir Frank Williams?
Yeah. It was kind of wasn't, I think I founded the team more because of meeting him than I did the foundation. The foundation was really foundation was a culmination of I'm in a spinal cord injury ward with 20 people.
Yeah.
And I'm getting all these cards and letters, and I'm getting visitors, and my door is just an open pathway, and the other 19 people don't get any of that, and there's nobody picking them up and nobody inspiring them. And so, everybody sends a card and said, what can we do? What can we do? Well, let's start a foundation. And I was a bit naive as to what that all meant, but we started one, and I think we've done some amazing things with that. But then it was what time of year was the Formula One? About a year and a half after my accident. The Formula One race was here, and I came and Derek actually set up the meeting with Frank, and talked for about 30 minutes. And I look back, and why am I still healthy? Why I'm out of the hospital? Why don't I have any issues after 18 years? It is purely because I have a reason to get up every morning, and I have people, mouths to feed. I have I have to go to work, and if you don't have that, it's very easy just to lay there and do nothing, and atrophy and all that kind of stuff. So even though I had done a lot of things before racing, and I had an education, and I could pick a different job after my injury, I said, well, look at a guy like Chip Ganassi. He doesn't look too smart. Let's go start a team. Anybody can do it.
He only swears he's going to quit every year.
I swear it, man. Every September. It's like,
I was gonna
why
say,
are we doing this?
So this is like your 6th last year of doing it.
Yeah.
10th last year.
10th last year doing
10th
it.
or 12th, yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
So we understand you're a bit of a drinking man.
I'm not a lush, but
I myself enjoy a drink or two. Sean doesn't drink unless we're with Mario Andretti.
I'm not the kind of guy that needs a drink every night.
Right.
But on a race weekend, we are known to celebrate victories with Don Julio.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah, that's dangerous.
I call myself a little bit of a tequila snob, so I use Patron for margarita mix is all.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You gotta be above that.
Do you curse Scott Sharp as you're doing it? You're like,
no, I get it for free. So
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, Ed Brown.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's funny. But no, there was one time Kentucky Speedway race on Saturday night. You don't get done until 11. Somebody's like, "We're not driving back to Indy. Let's have a campground party."
Yes.
And everybody was involved in the party.
Yeah.
TJ Patrick was wearing somebody's bra.
Good.
It is
Good.
legit. Charles, the security guard for IMS for years, Charles, Mr. Stern, fell out of his Tahoe. He was so drunk. And Melinda Hull that night says, "I got a great new drink I just called. It's called an O-Bomb. You got to try it." And was that Bacardi and Red Bull, right?
Oh, nice.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So 8 red solo cups later,
Yeah.
I because of the configuration of the Kentucky Speedway campground, I couldn't get my coach in with the lift that comes out 8 feet. So
Okay.
they put me over in the Indy Lights paddock, which is like
We got to hike.
Yeah, that's the other
turn
side.
1, and they were in turn 4. And there was a black transporter.
Okay.
So I have an excuse at
was it-
3 a.m. I'm driving along. Zzz, boom! And what happens is, the way I drive my chair,
Right.
I push against headrest. So I go boom.
Oh, so it's push.
Boom. Push. It's hard to get out of that cycle.
Didn't spill a drop.
I don't know how you're going to visualize this to all your listeners.
They'll figure it out.
But
figure it out.
yeah, no, that was painful. We were the last ones to leave the next morning, but
Yeah.
We were the only ones there.
yeah.
You open the door, no one's
No,
there.
woke up, put the blinds up. They were all well. There was
town.
a golf tournament the next day,
Okay.
Goes down.
but I think that was part of it. But it was like 11, and it was like, oh my God,
Right.
they have Groundhog Day or something. But
So who's
that was the worst. But yeah, Thursday night we showed up here. We had the CEO of Aero, and he always has really nice wine, and we had a lot of catching up to do because it's been a few months. And Rick, I was told Rick and he and I polished off 6 bottles of wine.
6 bottles of
Right.
wine.
Nice.
About drinking from the keg straight from my
Oh,
head,
that was the
like,
best one. You gotta ask Haley.
Okay.
Simon's
Yeah.
girl. You gotta ask her for the video.
Oh, definitely. We can do that.
what?
We can
Yeah, we
actually
have
do
to
that
have
right now.
visibility.
It's
Yeah.
so good because
So you just
my buddy Al Lewis that lives here in Indy has a 1954 Airstream that he made as a mobile bar. It's got the disco lights.
It's
and all
not
that stuff.
the one that's right over here, is it?
No, that's Tony George's.
What?
Oh, really? We're going
All
next.
right,
We're
yeah,
going
right.
next.
Yeah, that's Tony George's. No, he brings it out here at race weekend and it'll sit somewhere around
It's
here.
a
But,
bar Airstream.
it's got a full bar, LEDs, the whole deal.
Nice.
But he has a beer tap out the side.
Attaboy.
As you do.
Yeah.
And Haley's such the instigator. Sam, I bet you can't back up under that thing.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
And no, the video will show it. You have to listen really closely.
Right.
But I get under there, I open my mouth, and she starts pouring.
Yeah.
And I'm chugging. She says, wave your hand to stop me. And the sad part was, she was serious. And everybody, there was like 20 people. Everybody, and of course me,
Right. Just dying. Oh my God.
I lost everything in my mouth, and then I'm wearing it
Right.
Yeah,
for
right.
3 seconds until she shut it off.
Oh my God.
And
So it's serious business in this paddock, is what you're telling me.
it is totally
Yeah,
serious.
it is. Myra's giving me the eye. How's your partnership with Rick Peterson come about?
Good timing on both sides.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys like hanging out with each other.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes care of the social aspect.
Yeah.
And, I take care of the business.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that reminds me, were we supposed to get a takeout from him, or is he long gone?
Keep on chit-chatting.
No, yeah. All right.
Do you want us to get you something?
No. Rick was barbecuing, but I think
Oh,
he's long
sorry.
gone by now, right?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, because we
As long
sat
as he
down.
didn't hold it for us.
We sat down with Paul Page the other night, and one of the things he kind of said, which we were like, well, it's kind of how it is now, was he was mentioning how a lot of motorsports sponsors back in the day,
Yeah, Water Boss.
a lot of motorsports sponsors back in the day were not necessarily like looking for return on investment. They were guys that wanted to be a part of the 500 and things like that. And Sean and I kind of argue like, well, that's still how it is. I imagine Rick Peterson's business doesn't need an IndyCar team.
You gotta have even with the sponsorships, you gotta have somebody at the top that is a gearhead and loves motorsports and loves Indy 500 and has a passion for it, else you're not going to get past the first step.
Right.
And then you get into the business and you talk about how it all works. But the CEO of Aero was a pig farmer in Peru, Indiana, played football, Wisconsin, loves old cars, and now he's a technology industry leader, and that got us in the door. But that's kind of where that stops. You got to pick up the real business
Now you
after
gotta
that.
give him
But,
something. Yeah.
but no, Rick raced Atlantics in the late 80s.
Oh.
Raced Cascar after that. His company was basically the original ice road trucker.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Great northern supply
Right.
stuff for oil and gas, and had like 600 trucks. And so that, and our foundation does a deal every year where we have a jet, fly in 8 people, full red carpet, suite, pace car rides, 2-seater rides, whatever, and then home and make a donation to the foundation. So one year, 2012, Rick and 5 of his buddies took that jet and spent the whole weekend with us and got to talking. He's like, man, I'm at a point in my life, I sold my company, whatever. I think I'd like to do this. And he went to a buddy of mine, Tom Wood, who drove for me in Indy Lights and had his own Indy Lights team at the time, and said, hey, dude, let's expand. Let's go IndyCar racing. And Tom's like, no fucking way. I'm trying to get rid of my Indy Lights team, and this is the worst thing I ever did in my life. Takes too much time. You need to go talk to Sam. So one thing led to another, and it was at a time when we had to buy all new cars, and and I wasn't looking for a partner, but from a capital investment standpoint and everything we had going on, it was just the perfect storm. So.
Yeah.
And he's been great. He doesn't, really want to do a deep dive into the whole day-to-day thing or, who's sick today and all that kind of stuff. But likes to be involved in the big decisions. And we just had a 2-hour meeting this morning with our team managers, and he's off back to Calgary. So
I guess.
Well, but so unless you come from a giant corporate background like a Roger Penske type, it seems to me like this is kind of the trend that's going to have to be in place. I mean, you've got Rick when Cartman was involved for quite a while. We've got Sully with Dale Coyne. I mean, because of that challenge of the expense involved, therefore the sponsorships you need, and the fact that these are numbers that a corporate board is usually affiliated with companies that can afford that. Is this the trend that we should just sort of expect if we want to keep it going?
No, I regularly state I did this completely back-asswards.
Okay, go on.
I should have gone and built the conglomerate like Roger and did it backwards.
Right. Copy that. That whole Penske thing.
I mean, a lot less pressure when you can just sit on a board and say, hey, I'll shift on my oil to my car dealerships if you come on my car and pay me $15 million a year. So, I mean,
that old chestnut, field 1-2.
40,000 employees and $40 billion in sales. Yeah, you can just.
You probably do.
That's a lot of leverage.
Weird.
All right.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, what's our podcast?
But the ship has sailed, so we have to get on with what we got. But,
right.
I am proud of the fact that we work hard at this, and it's not that's not where I want to be spending my time. But you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once our podcast empire kicks in.
We're only at 20 billion right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So, all right. So a lot of time traveling. Are you? What do you do in the car or on the plane to keep occupied?
This year I'm going to learn Spanish.
Oh, okay.
And hey, peanut gallery. Most of the times I'm on the phone. I mean, it's like whenever I'm in the car,
right?
2-hour drive up to Winnemac or drive to Nashville. I'll just be. I got a list of phone calls, and I'm making the phone calls.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to dollar for dollars.
We do a pass along question. So the previous guest has a question of you, and then you'll ask one of the next one. So our guest 2 days ago was Mr. Paul Page.
Mr. Paul Page.
Uh-oh.
And his question was...
He actually announced the Indy 500 when I was driving.
How have you accomplished what you have? You're the hardest working guy. You're pleasant all the time. Where do you get the personal courage to do that?
That's too deep.
He didn't ask, what's your favorite pizza topping?
Why didn't you ask that question 2 hours ago when I was more fresh? Not fresh, but more fresh. I think, first and foremost, we always had a family faith. And through my dad's situation, my situation, and my mom, has the e-ticket, do not pass go, straight to heaven type of thing for all this, but and my wife as well. And so that kind of support, I couldn't do it without that. There's that layer, and then if you get past that layer, there's the family. We have an extremely close-knit family through all this. It's the first family I know that at least one side is not completely screwed up, but really supportive. And then there's the motorsports community. I mean, those cards and letters and those, statements of motivation and motivating them really do help when you kind of get past the first two layers. And, I'm just doing what I love still, and sort of living the dream. And I want to win the Indy 500. I would have rather done it as a driver, but when I'm fortunate to win it as an owner, there's going to be a mess of milk because I can't pour it myself. But we feel like we're making a difference both on the foundation side and with the companies I'm involved with, the wheelchair company and the van company and everything else. And there's just a lot of synergies, and constantly reminded that we're doing good things, and so just keeps re-energizing.
Good. So tonight we're going to have dinner with Takuma Sato. I'm sure you've heard of him. Any question you'd ever want to ask him that you could hide behind us on a little bit?
I thought about that a little bit. Veronica did send that to me, and it's like I don't know him at all.
Oh, okay.
We were fortunate to sit by each other at that function they had in Phoenix for Mario, and we got to talking about Honda, we got to talk about mobility, and we talked about robotics and all the stuff that I'm involved in.
Cool. Yeah.
It was really engaging, really intelligent, and I thought, well, that's really cool. I got to make an effort to spend some more time with him. But I am really, really curious if he could. Why? How would I put this? Why does he think there are not more Asian drivers in American racing, American open wheel racing. I mean, I know there's talented ones out there, and I know there's a bit of a pipeline with some of the Asian series and whatever. It's like, I think we need more, and because we obviously have a huge following in South America, Brazil, and Europe because of the guys we have. But I'd really love our market to expand over there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have 2 races over there, at least.
Yeah. What with one of the people I wanted to talk to you about, just because with our show now we have the ability to bring names up that might not have gotten as much coverage or credibility when they should have. And in this particular case, I wanted to get your best memory of Chris Griffiths.
I almost mentioned him a couple times in this conversation because his birthday was 2 days ago, and that's probably one of the reasons well, he kept me in IndyCar in 2011, and then probably one of the reasons I'm not in Indy Lights anymore, because I think he was, truly, one of the keys to our success for so many years, and it just wasn't the same without him. I lost, even though we raced for another 3 years after that. I just didn't have the same energy or reason to get up, even though he was a complete pain in the ass to deal with on a daily basis. He kept me on my toes and really did make it.
Because our listeners might not know, but I'd like them to, but Chris Griffiths was your team manager at your Indy Lights program and kind of led the charge with so many young drivers and a lot of your success, and he worked for a lot of big names. He won the Indy 500 with Emerson Fittipaldi and worked with Gordon Johncock, and then obviously a lot of like Joseph Newgarden and guys like that. And then he died suddenly,
brain injuries
at 45 years old, kind of on the spot. And
playing basketball at the Y.
Yeah.
September 12th, 2012. But it's amazing history from pushing a broom all the way to crew chief, won Indy 500s, and then said I'm going to do Indy Lights to spend more time with my family, and did it with Panther to their success. And then we brought him in 2004, got Thiago Medeiros, won 7 races, and the rest is 7 races in the championship, and then had a streak of many championships after that. And Chris was a guy, to your previous question about how much do you or do you not kiss butts of parents.
Right.
Chris is the one that always said, bullshit, like, we're the champions of your, a driver would come in and say, you need to do this, you need to do this, you do that. He would say, bullshit.
Yeah.
Look at the championships, look at the trophies. You need to drive the car.
Right.
I mean, our deal is working.
Yeah.
If you're slow, it's because your own, problem. And he would not have any problem telling him that.
Right.
Keeping you straight. And he didn't have a lot of time for the prima donnas, as you can imagine. But he was my, I'm an only child. He was my brother that I never had. I can't tell you, but I mean, I can tell you that literally now 5 years later, I still put my phone on 8 o'clock every morning and think that's the first call I got to make.
Really?
Wow.
Because for
so long.
8 years, he was the first call every morning, even if I didn't have any business to talk about.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd specifically wait till 8:45 in Vegas so that I'd interrupt his lunch at the taco stand.
And he knew it was coming. Yeah.
He's doing this on purpose. Make my lunch get cold. Oh, yeah, well, So it just, this business is so much about relationships, and you do spend so much time with these people away from your family and everything like that. And so, that was the deal. I can't remember the question, but
just basically wanted to kind of, your best memory of him.
Constant practical joker for one, and God, so many buzzing through my brain. One was I had a guy who Myra introduced me to in Vegas, friend of their families, who wound up moving show cars around for me and eventually wound up driving my coach, retired fire department guy. And one year he says, I want to come back and work the whole month of May. I want to feel it and, be a tire guy, do all your running around, all that kind of stuff, named Brad. And first year, and he comes back, and Chris guys like him, he just loved to just play with him, right? So the first thing he does, because the first thing he goes, you get in the white van, and here's 10 places you got to go to pick up these parts,
right? All
this stuff. So he's like, I think the first place, and he of course called all these people and told them what to do. I'm trying to think of what's on Gasoline Alley, place where you scale our parts. Go over there and pick up 40 pounds of crossweight. right? You go in, ask them, hey, I got this note. I need 40 pounds of crossweight. Oh, man, we're out. You got to go over there. Like 3 hours he's running out of the fireplace. He walks up, and I had a crew chief at the time who was also a complete pain in the butt named John Roof. And amazingly great crew chief, but he had an attitude. And he's the only one left at the shop. All the Indy Lights guys because for years all we did was do Indy Lights and the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Had one chassis, We just did the Indy 500 as a one-off. So John Roof's back preparing the cars for Freedom 100, and all the other guys are down here. And Brad winds up at like 4 o'clock, man. Oh, my God. John, you got to help me out. Chris is going to kill me. I got to find 40 pounds of crossweight. And so I don't go back with 40 pounds of crossweight. And John kept a straight face, and he walked over, and I think he got like a bag of kitty litter.
So here you go.
Here you go. And Brad said, that but there's 15 of those stories.
Right.
And
Right.
the one that we got him back on, though, was he just always drove this beater 95 Mustang GT that he bought salvage, right front damage, had a miscolored right front fender, and I knew it was a salvage title. I used to be in that industry because we talked about it before, and so I got a buddy that IMPD. I had an IMPD guy come in and say, Chris Griffiths, during the month of May. He's all stressed out, going 100 different directions.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I'm Chris Griffiths. Hey, do you own a 1995? Here's a license plate. And he's like, yeah. He says, well, we're picking it up out front with a tow truck. It's a stolen car. So we got into him that time, big time.
Yeah.
So, but nobody was out of his reach as far as a practical joke.
Yeah,
so.
that's cool. Nice. Do you think the family aspect of IndyCar is because it's so inherently dangerous?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't ever use a coach when I was racing, but I sure as I wish I had, because this type of arrangement here really breeds that. You see the kids grow up, you see them, the whole deal, and everybody just kind of hangs out and barbecues, and yeah,
that's awesome.
So you've got 3 cars this month. I don't know
3.5.
Yeah, but how do you consider the Shank deal?
I call it 3.5.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you got 3.5 cars.
We have staff.
Do you get half the prize money if that thing wins?
I have to look at my contract.
I can broker for you. If you
Yeah,
want.
we
know Mike.
We know Mike pretty well.
Yeah.
Once the deal's done, he ain't giving nothing
That's
back.
right. That's right.
I honestly don't know. Is there a mechanism in place to kiss the bricks?
I'll figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've done much stranger things than that.
Fair enough.
That's my record.
Go on.
Okay.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Awesome.
And I can guarantee all of those were, honey, guess what I got to do today?
Right.
Yeah.
Even though it was planned weeks in advance.
Forgiveness. That's the word.
I've raced a sailboat. Thought I was going to die. I've done an acrobatic plane. I've raced a hot air balloon.
Oh. Okay.
Fun race with that.
So like the fastest thing you've done is like IndyCar, and the slowest thing's probably the hot air balloon.
And I thought I was going to die.
Yeah,
and
you're
not in
terrified.
the sailboat.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
The steering broke. We were 18 knots of wind.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just a passenger.
Yeah, I know. And the guy that's behind me won the gold medal the year before in disabled sailing
Okay.
Right.
in China. And all I heard was, oh shit, we're in trouble.
Right.
That's not something you want to hear from a guy that just won gold medal.
Right.
In 18 knots of wind.
Nothing
Off
should
safety.
phase him at all. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he was hysterical.
Are you sitting there with your limitations going, yeah, of course. This is what's
This is how it's
happening.
gonna
This
go.
is, of course, what's
Now,
happening.
literally,
Yeah.
boat's all keeled over. My head's about 3 feet off the water, 15 miles an hour, and that's what I thought of. I've been 240. I'm going to die in this f***ing boat doing 15 miles an hour. But I survived. Unfortunately.
All right. Well, I think we're pretty much.
Yeah, I
great.
think we're good.
we
Thanks
don't
for.
Sweated you out yet?
It's
That's good, man. I'm getting ready for Lime
Let's turn the air back on.
yeah. This is driver training. for
Yeah,
him,
exactly.
so-
I'm just getting
I like
ready
it
for
cool,
the next
but
one.
you can cool it down later if you want.
Wait, is that the move? Like turn the heat up so we're like, all right, let's wrap this
Yeah.
up. Let's get it. Like,
Everybody
I can do
walks
this
in,
all
the boss
day.
starts to do this.
Yeah, make them earn it.
I
for
only
your
do that
art.
with other owners, so I sweat about
Fair
it.
enough.
Yeah, Ganassi comes in. He's like, nope,
Nope.
right back out. Yeah. Okay. Have you seen the movie Driven?
Yeah,
Big fan? Not a fan?
piece of shit.
Yeah.
That thing's horrible.
We're trying to gauge.
What do you
Even
mean?
though even though they forecasted my situation. with my favorite actor, Burt Reynolds.
Is Burt Reynolds really your favorite actor?
In a wheelchair.
We have
Smoking the Bandit. Come on, man.
Hey, just making sure.
I'm going to call you Frog. Why? Because I want to jump you. I know every word of Smoking the Bandit.
Okay. But not Driven.
Oh, God. No, I can't because I only watched half of it.
What do you think?
Yeah, go for it.
I think we should go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing we do a little video to announce who's going to be on each series. So what we decided to do was the obvious thing, the Driven trailer. The trailer to the movie.
With reenactments.
And we actually have Paul Page voicing it for us because he's like, yeah, whatever you want, no problem. Roger Hayden flipping a quarter, to get it going. So we were wondering if you could read a line from it.
Well, we'll do it on video.
For our video?
Yeah.
Yeah, no
problem.
You good? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Is it okay if it's the Burt Reynolds part?
Absolutely. No, that's a perfect fit.
You're a man.
All right.
You're a man.
That's perfect.
All right. So we always end this with Continental's got the check because they, sponsor us. Obviously, we didn't really eat anything here.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, Rick Peterson had the check.
Rick Peterson
with the
Oculus,
barbecue.
Transport got the check. Could you close us out with just some inspirational thoughts for people that might be going through something that is, very scary and they don't know how to handle it?
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is it can always be worse. I know that firsthand, even given my situation. And, I thought before my injury that, I'm indestructible, and there was a direct correlation between determination and success. Like anything I put my mind to, I could accomplish it just through your perseverance, And but I think that was all crystallized post my injury more because whether it's getting off the ventilator for starters and starting the Indy Lights team, being that successful, and then this, it really does prove the point that if you put your mind to it, you can do anything, and just takes a hell of a lot of hard work, and don't let people tell you no. And if the doctor tells you you'll never get off a ventilator, tell them F you, I'm find another doctor. And just stuff like that. It's like the only thing that is absolute in life is that if you do nothing, you will get no results. So just figure it out and stick with it and work hard.
I'm finished.
Man, I'm glad that interview's over because it was 198 degrees in there. But I love that guy.
Love him. Also, Myra could not appreciate her time more and just sort of being so welcoming and accommodating because she gave us water.
Absolutely. She was a big help. Of course, nothing is possible on this show without great partners. And we have
Acura MDX
and
Continental Tire.
Good enough. Send them a tweet. Let them know you love us. Hey, what song are you going to play?
Well, next up is a band called Vigester. That's V as in Victor, I-E-J-E-S-T-E-R, Vigester.com. You can also find them on YouTube. This is a song of theirs that came license free, and it's called Manifest. Enjoy.
Just